Mist is now available at Target stores nationwide. Get relief today.
Hi there. Let's go in the Wayback Machine because parents of students at the John Tyler Elementary School in Washington, D.C., they are demanding answers. I said it after a video of students cleaning a cafeteria floor surfaced. The incident reportedly occurred as punishment for a food fight. But we should note the responsible teacher has also been accused of hitting and pinching children in the past. Is this kind of punishment too intense? Let's go to old school versus new school and flesh it out with a little debate. Joining me now, psychotherapists Tom Kirsting and Darby Fox, appropriately named, child and adolescent family therapists. I believe both of you.
Yeah.
I don't have your full CV in front of me, but already impressed. So, Tom, I'm going to go to you first. They're making the kids get on their hands and knees and clean up the floor after a food fight. Is there phony outrage that this is a national story? Are we too soft on kids?
I think our nation in general has become super soft on kids, and this is an example of it. And if you look at some of the stuff I read, it was a little bit embellished because the person that took the video did fail to mention that there was a food fight that took place. So people were reacting to a video of kids on the floor, not like, you know, a kid could have dropped pencils on the floor.
With no context, yeah.
Exactly. So in my opinion, if you have a kid that has a food fight, they should be held accountable for their behavior. How else are they going to learn? Have them clean the floor. They made the mess, go clean it. If you take that away from them, what's going to happen?
Well, I want to get into further accountability in just a little bit because I think it is a huge problem for society now, for young children, for kids going into college, and eventually for society at large. But why do you think that this crossed the line? Because you're more of the new school discipline style, which is a little bit more nurturing, I would say.
It's a little bit more nurturing style. I'll get into that a little bit later. But what happens with this is we don't see many people having to clean the floor, or even the janitors, the hired help, are not cleaning the floor on their hands and knees.
It's really the best way to clean your floor, though. I clean my kitchen.
But
get the sponge out.
That's right.
It doesn't really end up teaching anything. What you'd rather do is withhold recess and say, you know what do you think this was like? And talk about what was happening to create the problem. For a teacher to start imposing punishment that way crosses a lot of lines.
I disagree with you. Now, if this were a disconnected punishment for something unrelated to the food fight, I would say yes. But this is not only punitive, it teaches kids, like, you physically have to clean up the mess that you made, like withholding recess. Oh, darn. Now let's talk about the bigger picture. Boston College professor Peter Gray wrote this whole article about how psychological services have doubled in college for college-age students because they're not resilient, they're needy, they don't self-soothe, they don't know how to handle problems. How is that related to discipline?
I read that article a couple weeks ago, and I've been in psychology today. I've been sending it out to everyone. So it relates to this. Okay, so what we are taught as children resonates with what happens when we become young adults and adults.
Yeah.
So if kids are bailed out of everything, the parents are helicoptering in, swooping in and saving the day and pointing fingers at everybody else for their behavior, what is going to happen when a kid gets a B or a C at Boston College? They're not going to be able to handle that. Yeah. They look at that as like this end-of-the-world thing. So they're lacking resiliency, the ability to handle an adversarial situation in an appropriate way.
They don't have gumption. They don't have backbone. Would more discipline make for more resilient college students?
Well, I think what you talked about in the first segment was the difference between discipline and punishment, and there's a big difference. So,
but some of these kids need to be punished. Sorry, but them's the rules. I think that's where the biggest problem is.
You can
with
punish in a way. You want to think about what is it doing, what is it teaching.
Yeah.
And with discipline, helicopter parents are too soft. I am not an advocate of rescuing. I'm about hold them accountable. Yeah. Make them, but set up a consequence and let them fail. Let them fail early on when they don't bring their paper to school in 4th grade or whatever it is, and build a sense of establishment. The other problem with resiliency is, as a society, we have set the standard so high that these kids are just about achieving, getting into the best college they can. Their parents give them the best classes, the best of everything to get them to a spot so that they will be something or achieve something, and they've never done it on their own. So they have no ability once they are on their own.
I agree
to
with
pull
you there, because
together.
you know, what is that something if you don't have the center, if you don't have the compass? But I argue that you can't get the compass if you don't have at least some sort of firm boundaries. And the old school of discipline, whether you call it discipline or punishment, there were boundaries.
I have kids right now. My hands are full right now.
Absolutely about boundaries, but the boundaries have to be understood, set in advance, and then you have to be really consistent with what you do once a child has broken it. The authoritative part that you're talking about doesn't really work. What you see with that is kids
I
just
don't know.
do it again.
Go back to the greatest generation. You go to World War II veterans, and they had what it took because they got the switch, the whip, the flip, the slap, the craw, and well, they are.